Hi folks, HR Funk here. If you saw my last video, which was my accuracy test with my recently reconfigured Remington Model 700 rifle, you might remember that near the beginning of that video I mentioned that I had installed a Kahntrol Solutions muzzle brake on that rifle, and the rifle and the brake are right here beside me. And in this video I want to explore the topic of muzzle brakes a little bit. I'll tell you why I added that brake. I'll also tell you about another brake that I got from Kahntrol Solutions, and we'll take a look at what these brakes might actually do if you decide to add one of them to your rifle. So here we go. So here once again is my recently reconfigured Remington Model 700 rifle, and as you can see it is still outfitted with the Kahntrol Solutions muzzle brake. By the way, this muzzle brake was sent to me by Jeremy Kahn from Kahntrol Solutions, and I want to say thank you to him very much for providing me this brake. By the way, I'm hoping to have him on as a live stream guest in the very near future. He is a wealth of knowledge not only on muzzle brakes but also on ballistics, and he's a rather fascinating individual to talk to. I hope that you will all be able to listen to that conversation on the live stream. It's just going to be a matter of coordinating his schedule with mine for us to be able to make that happen. In any case, when we talk about muzzle brakes, I have a rudimentary understanding of how they work. Jeremy, on the other hand, has an extensive knowledge of how they work. But essentially, when you fire a rifle and the pressure builds up in the cartridge and then starts to move the bullet down bore, there is an equal and opposite pressure exerted against the bolt face of your rifle. Now the bullet is much lighter than the rifle, so it moves very quickly and exits the muzzle. That pressure that's being exerted rearward on the rifle has to overcome the inertia of the rifle before the rifle starts to move rearward and we start to experience what we call recoil. Now, since the bullet has already exited the muzzle before the rifle has a chance to move very far rearward, the gas that is now escaping from the muzzle is being forced rearward, or vented, if you will, by the brake, and this acts sort of like a parachute. Since the rifle is now just starting to move backward, this pulls forward on the barrel so the rifle doesn't achieve the same velocity in its rearward movement, and we don't experience as much recoil on our shoulder. Actually, the same amount of recoil still exists, it's just being counteracted by the action of the muzzle brake. Another function of the muzzle brake, particularly on rifles like my Model 700, is the fact that it is a weight attached to the end of the barrel which helps to dampen barrel harmonics. Now, the effect is not as dramatic with a heavy barrel like the one on this rifle as you would see on a thin-barreled rifle that's going to move even more while the bullet is being pushed down bore. But essentially, this acts as a stabilizer at the end of the barrel, so the muzzle doesn't move as much as the bullet is traveling through the bore, and that way the muzzle is closer to the same orientation every time the bullet leaves the barrel. We see this on the target as what appears to be improved accuracy. There is one other way that the muzzle brake aids with accuracy, and I will fully admit that I do not completely understand this. But as the bullet is being forced out of the muzzle, the gas that is venting from the brake is stabilized, or maybe I should say the environment around the bullet is stabilized, and it allows a cleaner release of the bullet from the barrel. And this is one that I really want to talk to Jeremy about because he can do a much better job of explaining it than I just did. But again, that aids somewhat, or at least theoretically, with the accuracy that we're able to achieve with our rifle. Now, all of these things that I just mentioned are nice features of the muzzle brake, but the thing that I notice most is not so much the added accuracy or the reduced barrel harmonics or anything else. What I notice with this rifle specifically is when I fire it, there is less movement of my rifle and therefore less movement of my scope, and my sight picture remains very stable. I first noticed this when shooting at long range because I was much more easily able to see the impact of my bullets at a greater distance, and if my shot was somewhat off, I could almost instantaneously employ a hold because I could see the bullet strike, and then my follow-up shot had a much greater chance of striking right where I wanted it to on the target. So that's the greatest advantage I see with the bolt action, and even at the shorter distances, if I'm shooting at 100 yards, I can pretty much watch the bullet impact the target and know whether my call was good and whether my shot was good, or if I did something wrong, or if there was some other issue. So it just aids in that stability with the rifle when I'm shooting, and it helps me to be able to understand my shooting, be able to diagnose problems, and as I said, to be able to get a quick follow-up shot on target if I need to adjust my hold slightly. One of the really nice things about this brake specifically is it is a clamp-on brake, and you can see the 6 screws on top here that are securing the brake to my barrel. Now, there's a little bit of controversy with clamp-on brakes, and I guess there is some concern that over time these screws can loosen and potentially your muzzle brake can become a projectile and end up going down range. There is a lot of information on the Kahntrol Solutions website about this issue, and essentially due to the design of the Kahntrol Solutions brake and the way that it clamps to the barrel, that's really not an issue. You might need to check every once in a while and make sure that the screws are staying tight. On my old work rifle, I have one of these that has been mounted since I think 2018 or so, maybe 2019, and it has never, ever, ever loosened whatsoever. I originally clamped this down a week or so ago. The rifle has had about 100 rounds of ammunition through it since then. I checked these screws and they have not loosened at all. So as part of your normal maintenance when you're cleaning the rifle or doing whatever, it's worth taking the time to check these screws, but I have not had any issues with them loosening, and definitely no movement whatsoever of the muzzle brake. Now, the nice thing about the clamp-on brake is if you have a rifle that does not have a threaded barrel, you can add the brake without sending the rifle off somewhere or sending your barrel to action off somewhere and having threads installed on your muzzle, or excuse me, on your barrel. These come in various sizes, so you have to measure the outer diameter of your barrel to make sure you're getting the proper size brake to clamp onto your barrel. But again, if you take a look at the Kahntrol Solutions website, you can see the wide variety of this style of brake that they have. They also have brakes that are designed to thread onto the barrel if you have a threaded barrel. And they have another attachment system that's kind of unique. I've never seen anything quite like this. It's called the CWES, which is the Crush Washer Elimination System. And that's one that if you're interested in it, go and take a look at the website. It does require a threaded barrel. It's probably going to be most common on AR style rifles, but it's just kind of interesting. It doesn't require a crush washer. It's a way to secure the brake to your rifle, and you don't have to worry about cranking it down with a wrench or anything else. So along with the brake you've been looking at so far, Jeremy sent me a second one, and this one is a standard AR-15 1/2 by 28 thread muzzle brake, and I installed it on my Palmetto State Armory SBR. And I did this for a couple reasons. I wanted to test this, and a standard 20-inch rifle firing the 5.56 is not going to have a tremendous amount of recoil. This SBR has more recoil and more escaping gas because of the short barrel. And I thought this might make an interesting test, and I took it out to the range shortly after I installed this. And by the way, the installation on this was extremely easy, partially due to the fact that I was able to use my master gun vise and also my upper vise block. And if you didn't see the videos that I produced on those a while back, go back and take a look, because it literally made removing the original flash suppressor and installing this muzzle brake about a 15-minute job all the way start to finish. And as I said, it was extremely easy. But I went out to the range after I had this installed, and I started to do some shooting. And what I noticed was again, not so much that it felt like there was less recoil. There probably was. I just wasn't able to feel it. But my sight picture, again, stayed much more stable. So my follow-up shots were faster. Now, in a defensive setting, I don't know if that's going to make a lot of difference, but if you are a competitor and you're trying to shave every fraction of a second that you can off of your times, absolutely that's going to make a difference. Let's head out to the range and I'm going to show you some of the shooting that I did. And the first time through, I'm just going to show you some shooting drills that I fired while I was there, and I'll talk a little bit about what I'm seeing on the target. Then I'm going to do a comparison between a video that I recorded with this rifle a while back where I was shooting a similar drill, and we can see the time difference from shooting this with the muzzle brake and the time that it took to shoot essentially the same drill with a standard flash suppressor. So let's head out to the range and take a look at that footage. So 5 out of 6 on the heart from 5 yards. One of them I pulled a little bit low and to the left. That's just me getting heavy on the trigger. But all in all, this is a very controllable package. There's 4 more shots on the heart from that distance of 7 yards. 2 headshots, no problem. Again, I'm pulling them down a little low and to the right. That's me. Part of this is mechanical offset too. I'm holding about here with my dot to account for that. I might need to hold just a little bit higher from that distance of 7 yards. But now let's back up to 15 yards and we'll see what happens from there. One more shot, make it off the heart, and one make it just barely below this center square on the target, but it's a dead center spine shot, so I think this person would still be having a pretty bad day. And actually, even though that's below the center square, it still caught the heart. So I'm going to call that still a pretty good shot. And actually, it looks like I might have one over here now too. So I have another one that's just caught the corner of that center square there. But nothing in this is causing me any concern whatsoever shooting at that shot tempo from that distance of 15 yards. Yards, firing those headshots, everything was looking good except for this one shot. Got one of them right here. It's going to clip the juncture between the brainstem and the spine. 2 of them that are well into the brain. One of them that's going to catch probably the bottom of the brain on its way through. And again, that one bad shot. So again, shooting at 25 yards, just unsupported as I was at that shot tempo, I'm feeling pretty good with this type of performance. And from 25 yards on those body shots, I had one shot leak out here into the lung, just outside of that center square. Everything else from all of those drills at all the various distances are on the heart, except for these 2, which still managed to stay in the center square. This one is just outside the center square, but it's still on the heart. So again, I am feeling pretty darn good about the way this little firearm is performing with the addition of the new Kahntrol Solutions muzzle brake. So next up is going to be some side-by-side comparisons with one of the drills that you just saw. I think I actually have 2 times that I shot through that I'm using, and one of the times that I shot the same drill that I had just the standard flash hider that was attached to this rifle. And you're going to see it in real time the first time through, then I'll show a slow motion version the second time through. And what I noticed, and I'll go ahead and tell you this now, is shooting this drill with the muzzle brake attached shaves a little less than half a second off the overall time. Now, as I said before, for a defensive shooter, does half a second make that much difference? I don't know. We could debate that. For a competitive shooter, that could be the difference between winning a match and having somebody say better luck next time. So let's go back now and take a look at that footage. So there you go, everyone. There's one last look at these two Kahntrol Solutions muzzle brakes. I am very impressed with both of them. If you're interested in more information, once again, check out the Kahntrol Solutions website and you can find much more information there. And again, I hope to get Jeremy on a live stream very soon so you can all hear all of his extensive knowledge on both muzzle brake technology as well as ballistics. So there you go, folks. That's going to do it for my discussion of muzzle brakes. I hope you got something from it. I want to say thank you once again to Jeremy Kahn from Kahntrol Solutions for providing both of the muzzle brakes that you saw during this video. If you have any questions about these brakes, by all means go to Kahntrol Solutions website and you can find all the information they have there. Until next time, if you have any questions or comments about this video, make sure you forward those to me. Remember, if you purchase anything from Optics Planet, be sure to use my discount code, which is... And if you use that discount code, it's good for 7% off your purchase from Optics Planet. And remember the discount code from House of Pain. You can go to House of Pain Armament or House of Pain Munitions and use my discount code there, which is HRFUNK, and that'll save you some money off your purchase from House of Pain. And don't forget the Target sponsor, folks. Go to Target's online, check out their inventory, and see if they have anything that's going to meet your Target needs. See you next time. And until then, good shooting. Bye-bye.